So one thing we noticed in the Switch 2 presentation and all the prices that have come out after the fact is the Switch 1 games with their Switch 2 versions, how much they cost. Breath of the Wild, $70. Kirby, $80. Tears of the Kingdom, $80. And we're like, these games are old games just being polished up for a new system. Why are they so expensive? And we've seen other games, Nintendo games, they rarely ever go on sale. Go look now in the stores or Amazon. Nintendo games, they just stay at the price that they come out as. And I saw this article on The Gamer, which is interesting, and covers this, written by Vaspin Destur, and I probably pronounced that wrong. This isn't Ubisoft. Former Nintendo employees on why Nintendo games are never on sale. During a recent episode of their podcast, former Nintendo marketing leads Kit Ellis and Krista Yang said that the Nintendo Switch 2 will usher in a new era, one where Nintendo no longer needs to prove itself. They explained from experience that when deciding upon prices, Nintendo expects prospective customers to respect the value, to such an extent that during their time at Nintendo, they weren't allowed to do giveaways.
Often get a long lecture, especially in the last couple years that you were there, of like, Nintendo products have immense value, we must always respect that immense value. And this is why you see these things don't go on sale. It's like,
right, that's another point. The
value is the value, and we are really like seriously into that concept of respect the value of what this thing is that we have made because it is very special.
What's interesting to me is that they're not under like NDAs to even not talk about this stuff. Nintendo seems to have always keep things like secrets in-house. And the fact that these people that used to work at Nintendo are out here talking about that stuff, that's weird to me.
It's a great thing for the brand because you are trained, like basically as a consumer, to think like, oh, like this is worth the price. It's not like
this isn't Ubisoft.
I was just gonna say, it's not like the Ubisoft situation where I always tell myself, if I wait a month, will this get cheaper?
Right.
Like as a Nintendo customer, fan, I feel like all of us are kind of like conditioned to be like, well, I'm gonna buy, if I wanna buy this, I might as well buy this now because it's not gonna go on sale.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it does good things for their brand in terms of like training your brain to do that. But in the other way, it's like, well, how far are you taking this concept of like how much your stuff is worth?
So what they're saying is how much it costs is how much it's worth. If you look at something and it costs $60, and you look at something that costs $10, which seems like it would be better. So the value of what something is worth by the price that you sell it for. And if you drop it in price, are you giving a signal that it drops in value? That's what it sounds like is Nintendo's logic here.
Because again, there is so many other factors that come into pricing something, but the sort of the weight that they put on this just being something from the magical box that is Nintendo makes it like you're paying like a Nintendo markup.
It's a Nintendo tax.
Nintendo tax.
I mean, you could also say like them looking at it, it's like, well, you know, this game that we made was $60. A lot of those other games that are $60 are junk. Like they don't have the Nintendo level of quality or polish or attention, so we do need to distinguish that like how premium this thing is through the pricing, and you will come to understand that.
So explaining here what Nintendo's philosophy is. So these other games that are $60 and they end up going on price for whatever, or going down in price for whatever reason later on, they're no longer worth that $60. And Nintendo's saying our stuff is such high quality, it's always worth that. And so we've discussed this lots of times about Nintendo games never going on sale. They're always the same price. This is a look inside of why they do it. Once in a while, holiday sales. I even remember where new games would be $50 at Walmart at launch. Yeah, sometimes on Black Friday, but they don't even go down that much. And a lot of times they're third-party games. You know, like I remember Mario and Rabbids was always on sale. That game was always $20. But you know, that was a Ubisoft game. We're not Ubisoft. Premium gaming, that's their brand. Most exclusives on PlayStation and Xbox take a while before going on sale. Third party usually has a good 30 to 40% discount after a month after, especially like WB games. How many times we've talked about this? Will you see Mortal Kombat 11, the entire thing with all the DLC for $9.99? There's games that you know you can wait to buy because they're going to go on sale. And like they said here, with Nintendo, you might as well get it at the beginning. Only if the game store shop has a sale. That's the only time the Nintendo Switch games are on sale or 50% off. And I'm wondering if they're even allowed to do their own sales without Nintendo's approval based on what they said here. But years later, they should go down. Yeah, we would think they would, but they don't. And this is why. So those of you waiting for Switch 2 games to drop in price down the road and purchase them then, don't hold your breath.